Well, I think he's one of the most interesting American film artists because he's able to take and translate, I think, into very funny dialogue often, but also meaningful dialogue about a country that is, in a particular sense, amusing itself to death at some level. That it's materialist and its political class is kind of abandoned the ideals of the United States, even though they spout them all the time. And he has a very interesting way of framing that and capturing it in the love stories that he tells in his films and also in the relationships that people have with each other. And I don't think any director in the last 20 years has done that kind of perceptive analysis and made it actually quite entertaining and funny at the same time.
I just imagine myself into the characters. I mean, I can't write a character I can't understand. And so even your villains, you best villains are the ones that you can really understand. But it's just the way it is. It's if you want to imagine, like, why would this guy do this particular action? You have to know something about him, and you do the work. And what's it look like in daily life? It looks like some guy walking around the street being real dreamy and stuff like that. No, my neighbor's like, oh, that's the guy. He writes movies. He makes movies. He's dreaming. But that's, in fact, what you do. You walk around and you think, and you dream.
Yeah, I think his visual style, his cinematic style, is very spare, it's very austere, but it's very evocative. So you can compare him to such filmmakers as Robert Bresson. People have compared him to Jean-Luc Godard. He has a kind of European sensibility in terms of film style. So those things together make a really interesting combination, and I think there's a very distinctive voice in his work that is very American, and it's the best of the American intelligent spirit. So yeah, I think he's quite remarkable.
People don't listen to each other, and they don't talk to each other, and they're manipulated by media and things like that. And so it's the tragedy of miscommunication. That's pretty much what I've always made movies about. Living in Berlin really did impact my filmmaking because I was a foreigner for a solid 5 years. I was really living in somebody else's culture, learning their language, trying to get by, never really mastering their language either. And so that gave me a different perspective on the world. I lived in the world differently. I lived as an Auslander, and so I made this group of short films while I was living there, mostly trying not to turn away my attention from this fact that, what is life day to day, being a person like me. I wanted to make little fictions out of the actual raw material of everyday experience. What's it like to go to the supermarket and buy groceries in German, which you don't really speak that well, or travel around, and what these kinds of things. I think it's great. I think everybody should be exiled for 5 years, and not when they're too young, but when they're older. Early middle age would be a good time for everybody to get exiled.